Welcome back to Solo Therapy, Season 3, Episode 1, Part 2, with me, Ben. Hi there, I'm autistic. Left off saying people just don't care anymore. And as I have many a time in the past, I will once again go to analogies or similes of people's behaviour in traffic, or my own. In this case, it's others, because I am talking about others just not caring anymore. Well, just not caring. I haven't a baseline to establish anymore, so, take it for what you will. With indicators, also known as blinkers in German or in American, a lot of people seem to just not bother, or worse, in my opinion, almost worse, do it after they've slowed down to turn. That's not the point. To the point where just before session 200, New Year's, I was behind a car, light turned green, they rolled. At the other side of the junction, they just stopped. No indicator, no nothing whatsoever, single lane road. Well, each way single lane, so I was not to go into oncoming traffic. And then they had someone get out. Still no indicator, no apologies, no nothing. I asked them to please tell the person to use their indicator, so I did so in my opinion, kind tone. But that leads me to another point, which is I believe people don't actually care what you say. Still on track of caring, that is. Because you can say have a lovely day. If the person assumes you're being rude based on their context and their mind, their ears, of interpretation that is, they'll think you're rude. And I just don't get it, because in the end of the day, I talk to a lot of people in traffic. First off, because I am hyper-communicative, as I've decided to call it. I use my high beams, main beams, quite a lot. Same with indicators. Thank you. As I know someone lets me in a tight spot also, where I was the one who was asking for a favour. I do right, left, right, left, right, left, right, ending wherever I was headed. So if I went left, I'll end on left. And that's a thank you. And I'm pretty sure just about anyone understands that. Then again, I might be giving people too much credit here. Another reason I get to communicate with people in traffic a lot, and with this I have mixed experiences. Usually people are actually happy. Perhaps it's because I'm not contacting them while they're driving, I don't know. But when I see a car stopped at a light, junction, wherever, not in flowing traffic, and they have rear lights or brake lights out, I tend to inform them. To the point where I've played a mini game in the recent past with driving to work. Can I get all the permutations of a single brake light out on my way into work? Which I did actually twice within 2 weeks, so I'm quite happy about that one, It's just, we're all interested in being safe in traffic, is a base presumption I have as participant in traffic. Because I would like to be safe in traffic, and I can't fathom the concept of someone not wanting to be safe. That doesn't mean people actually want to be safe, but in my mind they do. So I'd have to assume if someone's brake lights are out, they've just not checked it, because one is supposed to regularly. I myself check at least once a week using reflections in big windows, because that's bloody handy, It's the reason I go to the shops I do, because they got big windows out front which I can see my rear end when I'm leaving in the mirror. But apparently quite a few people don't check them. And a lot of people don't tell other people. How do I know this? Well, based on quite a few years now, 3 or 4 ongoing. Actually, it's more like 4.5, 5 ongoing. Whenever I tell people, most of the time they're surprised. And I don't think it's because they think I'm a rozzer and they want to pretend to be innocent. I think it's just because they genuinely have no clue about their vehicle's capability of being safe in traffic. I mean, I try and abide by the rules, but there is some exceptions for speeding also. Hell, I might even consider running a red light, assuming I don't hinder or endanger anyone, if someone don't have any brake lights. Because in the end of the day, that's very lethal if you're like on the autobahn, going 200 left lane, left hand corner. The car in front of you brakes but ain't got no brake lights, you're up their arse real quick. And that's just not fun. And in the end of the day, most of the people are happy there. And I don't get it because it's still the context of traffic. Whereas the person in the story earlier, they weren't even happy to relay the message to their driver, though they most certainly had text communications. I would be surprised if not at least one of them had their phones in their hand at that time. It's just, I've got to check my notes here so I don't skip something. Ooh, this is a good one. Another one beyond just indicating is braking. I mean, I understand there is adaptive cruise control and so on, and that can brake when the car brakes in front. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a car just driving along the road, nothing in front, and they just randomly tap their brakes. Let friction do the work. If you're doing adaptive cruise control, you don't even have to let friction do the work because the car will let friction do the work unless you're going downhill, in which case it's not tapping. I mean, the other week, a couple of 3 weeks ago, I was on my way back from work. There was quite a few cars. There's one fancy Merc in the left of 2 lanes, but within a settlement, so you can choose whichever lane you like. Both were going the same way. Just tap their brakes repeatedly, randomly, spacing of 5 to 10 seconds. And I thought not much of it because people, they don't think what they do, probably on their phone. Playing a scrolling simulator, and whenever they like something, they tap the brake pedal as well or so. But in this case, eventually they just slammed their brakes and I was behind them, or I had enough space so I wouldn't worry about it. But that was a hell of a dick move, They had no traffic in front. So they don't have the excuse of the car braked randomly, it shouldn't have. Because they don't. They shouldn't, and usually they don't. For that you have to not have your hands on the wheel or so, and then the car might start braking randomly. That same road, by the way, I was following another car, tailing another car, to tell them their brake light was out. And I think they actually noticed me following them and started doing evasive manoeuvres. Because we'd driven around a block like once, and then they turned in the direction they were coming from, without stopping or anything. All I wanted to do was tell them their brake light was out, but people, you never know what situations they're in, And with these kinds of behaviour, looking at my notes here, I am starting to wonder if I'm starting to develop something like a main character syndrome. Because while I acknowledge individuals are complex and so on, and I do acknowledge all the people I interact with being individuals, I'm starting to question if all the people are individuals. Because so many times you can just say, ooh, have a nice weekend on Monday, and they'll say, oh, thanks, you too. And I don't understand, It's just... Brain, hello? Anyone home? It's just like, I don't get it. It's like bots. I don't get it. It's just frustrating. Or sad, depending on how you want to see it. That having been said, I think we've got about 10 minutes on the clock currently for this part. I think we'll continue this in this part. We won't do another one yet. Yep, we're at 9 minutes 50, so that's alright. Another aspect with these people is I am at times quite envious for these people's positions. It's not like I'm in a bad position in life. Most certainly not. I'm in a pretty good position in life, and I'm starting to work my way there, you know. But with things like furnishing my flat and so on, I just haven't noticed anyone else who started from a bare flat. I'm sure people have, but they're few and far in between, at least in my spheres, and my spheres are divergent. And the envy aspect also comes for people who appear to be of not the highest cognitive abilities, you know, like not the highest cognitive abilities, no kidding, and still managing to make a living better than I am. Because life is a complex puzzle game, and though I am well off in a lot of departments, there is a few I'm lacking in. And this lack in these few departments is really making the whole putting the puzzle together quite complicated. You know. I mean, I understand I'm socially retarded and so on, but I can do subtext and I can do context. The problem is, it's a tuning calibration issue. I start having to tune from further away than regular people, it appears to me at least frequently. Which means, yes, an individual has individual levels of sarcasm and humour and so on. Irony, even. Irony is not much a thing a person does, but still. Being ironic, that is. Regular humans appear to sometimes take one or two interactions with other humans. For me, it's more of a matter of a few hundred interactions with other humans, and I'll start to understand where they're at. And not to toot my own horn also, but I understand this does sound arrogant, I'll say it anyways, because I believe it might well be true, because I have been told so by quite a few people, quite a few times, is my technical understanding and so on appears to surpass that of others, and they do not say when they don't follow or can't follow, which then puts the burden in my court, the ball in my court, the burden of proof on me, which I don't know, because I don't know what you don't know. I'll have to assume you know what I do. Everything else seems to be looking down on others, condescending. Because if I assume people know less than I do, that's not fair, especially if they're people who have had more time to gather life experience than I've had. You know, like. And this leads to me losing people early on in the conversation because they cannot follow, but also to me wasting my breath, their time and my time, because those people then do not say they cannot follow, which makes it all a bit complex, you know. I just don't understand it. Then again, there is a lot of things I don't understand. It feels for me like with most subject matters, this one included, the Dunning-Kruger curve, I know there is no such thing, but there is a thing people commonly refer to as such, which is what I am referring to here. I am at that dip beyond the peak in most subject areas. It's what I feel. I don't know how close to reality it is. I might be well beyond that dip. I might be in front of that. From other people's feedback, I gather I am not in front of that dip. That's what I can say. Because apparently they all think I know a lot. It's just, I need things to be correct. And if you want things to be correct, you have to be able to figure things out. Because it's not like other people are going to tell you how they're done correctly. Nah. Short tangent. As of recent, I've been using some of Anna's archive. Can say this because it's not illegal in any way, size, shape, or form to download standards. I haven't been uploading, so it's all legal. And it's lovely that one can actually access standards, because as a regular human who's working regular 10-hour days, well, 8 to 10 hour days, I cannot afford to shill triple digits for a PDF document, especially one I might only be tangentially interested in. So Anna's archive is a great resource. That having been said, another great resource, Wikipedia, had its birthday. Well, I guess now you know when it is. Not that long ago, and it's quarter century of birthday. So I highly encourage you go and donate to them or something else. I'm not affiliated, but I do like the idea of knowledge being free and available, and that is how. Like, yes, I can read standards and so on, but it's not like we're in the continental USA here, where the illiteracy rate is above 1 in 10 for adults. We're in continental Europe, an economic centre named Germany. The literacy rate is pretty high here. Yet, even people who are literate appear to not be able to read standards and so on. It's not like I'm reading them proper. I'm just diagonal reading them, you know? Just having a look across, which chapters I'm not interested in. Okay, which chapters do they refer to? Okay, great stuff, thank you. Have a lovely day. Let me just check my notes for what else I got as subject, because I still got one, but that's too big a one for this part. That'll have to go into part 3. Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate, I don't want to discount other people's traumata or past experiences or some of experiences, but I do not think more than 1 out of 10 of people would have made it as far as I have with my experiences. So I'm quite happy about that, I guess, and sad at the same time, because I would have liked to know those other 9 or however many others there was, would have been, could have been, should have been. Anyways, hope you're enjoying this so far. I'm thinking I'm quite happy with this format change. It's also fancy that I can now, zoom into my face and all that. It's just using Apple's regular integrated Apple Watch. Ooh. Oh, and also, this beard recently turned 1 year old, both the beard and the moustache. Anyways, I hope you're safe. I'll see you in part 3. So long. Thanks for all the fish.